Breakfast. Time to dig into some TV stuff with Chris Philpott. On the Box, on the radio is what we call it, from the On the Box blog at stuff.co.nz. Good morning, Chris.
Hey, how are you?
I am not too bad, actually, not too bad. Haven't been catching too much TV this week, it's got to be said. But it's interesting to note this morning that Cops in the States is either being moved or cancelled.
Yeah, I think it's in its final death throes, as they say. It's making its last few coughs and its last breath. No, it's Cops was the last remaining original show on Saturday nights in the US, which is, I mean, Saturdays used to be a big night of television, and now with the demise of Cops, which has been moved for now, the Fox channel in America is saying it's been moved, it hasn't been cancelled, but many commentators are speculating that it will be cancelled before it makes a return.
And this is free-to-air TV.
And this is on free-to-air in the States, yeah. Where Saturday night used to be a big night, now there's no original programming. It seems to be used, as Deadline reported this week, it's now just being used for repeats. A couple of channels are showing sport. A couple of them are doing burn-offs, which is playing shows that have been cancelled where they have remaining episodes, basically just using it as filler. And there's no original programming on. It's kind of sad in a way, I think. As I say, Saturday nights used to be a big night. Deadline points out that in 1973, for example, CBS's Saturday lineup was All in the Family, MASH, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Bob Newhart Show, and The Carol Burnett Show, all of which are really quite famous shows. I mean, you may not have seen them, but you will recognise some of the names there. And now we've got nothing, really. And, I mean, I kind of thought of it in terms of what's on New Zealand TV. New Zealand plays a lot of movies on Saturday nights, but we've also got, we've got American Idol, we've got Terra Nova playing on TV3, we've got various other shows playing around the place. One has escaped me right now that was on Saturday nights on TV1, which is an original Kiwi show. And there's still an audience there. So to think that they've given up in America on one night of the week is kind of remarkable.
Well,
really.
It used to be Saturday night in New Zealand was crossed to Avalon Studios for some kind of major do, live that the whole nation would be tuning into, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, it's the family night. Everyone's in, and you would think that there would be an audience there, even if it is just middle-aged parents and their younger children. But for some reason, they don't tune into the telly on that night, or catching up on their DVR, perhaps.
True.
Too busy browsing their Facebook pages.
That's right, in front of the TV and not actually watching it. Let's look at New Girl, Raising Hope, and Glee, new seasons for all of these.
Yeah, just a quick story here to say that they've all been renewed by talking of Fox in the States as well. They've all been renewed. New Girl, of course, the Zooey Deschanel comedy that's playing on TV4 at the moment. It's a really quite funny. It's hit its stride at the moment. I'm really enjoying it right now. Raising Hope is the, I don't want to say yokel, but I'm going to say yokel comedy starring, it's got Garrett Dillahunt and Martha Plimpton in it, about the teenage kid who's raising a baby, even though he has no clue how to do it. It's quite a funny show as well. TV3 will be playing that later in the year. And, of course, Glee, the Friday night singing and dancing crap of the world, I call it, really. But that's on Friday nights on TV3 at the moment, and that's been renewed for a fourth season, even though it's kind of on the decline right now. I think it's lost a lot of the critical acclaim it had, and a lot of the fan support that it had as well.
Apparently the Gautier Kimbra track is going to be on Glee.
Yeah, I was reading that this morning, that it's going to be on when it comes back for new episodes in about a month's time. So that'll be interesting to see what Glee does with that.
Yeah.
I kind of feel sorry for Kimbra and Gautier, though, that they've been used in that way. I think I would feel a little bit dirty about that.
They've murdered a few songs, that's for sure. Hey, onto the review and what we shouldn't be watching, because it's played in the States and it's not available here yet. Magic City started last Friday.
Yeah, Magic City is the new comedy. What was I going to say there? The new drama from Stars, who make Spartacus. They recently made Boss, which was on Soho. Magic City's their new period drama. It's set in 1959 in a fictional hotel called the Miramar Playa.
Oh, Mad Men, is it?
It is. It's kind of Mad Men meets The Sopranos in a way.
Right.
It's period drama in that kind of 50s, and it's set there. It's very much attention to detail in the show. Everything is just exactly how it should be for that time period. And then, of course, you've got Ike Evans, who is the lead in the show. He's the manager of the Miramar Player, being played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who many of the ladies out there will remember as Denny from Grey's Anatomy. And he owns the hotel, and he's ended up, in the first episode, he ends up having to turn to a mob boss to make the hotel succeed, where it looks like things are going to go badly for him. So there's a kind of the gangsters are in there. There's prostitution going on. Of course, with stars, there's lots of nudity and sexual content, which I think is by contract they have to include that in the show.
Yeah.
So it's quite an entertaining show. However, it really didn't do very well in the ratings last week. It started in America on Friday, Saturday afternoon our time. And I should point out, New Zealanders will see it on the 13th of May. It starts here.
On Soho?
On Soho Channel, yeah. And it didn't do very well in the ratings, and I'm wondering if that is to do with period dramas. Now, we saw earlier this TV season that we had the Playboy Club started and finished within about 3 weeks.
Yep.
We had Pan Am, which was the Christina Ricci show about Pan Am, the airline.
Yep.
We've had others as well that have come and gone. Luck, well, I don't know if Luck really is a period drama as such. It's got a real kind of 90s vibe about it, but I don't think it's meant to be a period drama in that sense.
But the biggest show of them all at the moment, Mad Men, that's a period drama that's doing very well.
Yeah, well, I was going to point that out. The Mad Men is succeeding really well. That's at its all-time high in terms of ratings right now. And you look at something like Downton Abbey as another period drama, which is doing exceptionally well. And I think the reason for that is that the characters really, if you look at Magic City, the characters aren't interesting. And I think they've really, aside from the three leads, they've got Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing the lead, and he's very good. They've got Olga Kurilenko, who people will remember as the Bond girl from Quantum of Solace a few years back. She plays his wife. They've got Danny Houston, he's that guy who you'd recognise if you see him, and he plays mob boss Ben Diamond in the show. But beyond that, the talent really drops off. There's no really interesting characters. There's no standout actors. There's one character who just seems to be in there for the sake of filling up the quota of sex scenes that Stars requires of the show. And it's just not that interesting. And I think the Playboy Club suffered from the same thing. Pan Am suffered from the same thing. Boardwalk Empire is another one I think that is only just hanging on by the skin of its teeth in terms of ratings for HBO. And it's the same thing. I think beyond the top 2 or 3 guys on the show, there isn't that many interesting characters to keep you coming back. Whereas Mad Men and Downton Abbey have entire casts of really interesting characters that have been brought to life in the show and that you would tune in to watch. You know, you think about Mad Men with, aside from Don Draper, you've got Betty Draper, you've got, Peggy, Joan, John Slattery's Roger Sterling is in there. Even Lane Price in that show is really interesting, and he's only in it for a couple of minutes a week. It really is across the board a much better cast, a much more interesting cast of characters. And that's something that these other period dramas are missing. I think for all the detail that you could put into a period drama, you just can't beat a good character. Okay, all right. Well, I look forward to anyway, giving Magic City a little bit of a spin anyway, see what you mean. What is coming up on TV this week? Well, we've got 5 really big dramas starting this week. The first is tonight, Castle. Series 4 starts at 8:30 tonight. I think I mentioned it last week. I'm that excited that I have to mention it twice. Tomorrow night we've got Breaking Bad, starting its 3rd season on 4. Now, speaking of being a year behind, these guys now, they're 2.5 or 3 years behind now. I think everyone who wants to see it has seen it, surely. I think everyone who wants to see it has seen it, as you say, but I think anyone who hasn't seen it should tune in and watch it, because it really is, this is the point where it gets really good, as you all know, Wammo. Yeah. And that's tomorrow night on 4 at 10:30. We've got Friday night on 4 at about 10:45. It's after the Friday movie. The TV show Alphas is starting on there. That's a really interesting superhero drama. Kind of puts the old heroes to shame. And it's created by a guy called Zach Penn, who is involved with the X-Men franchise and the Incredible Hulk. Saturday, of course, the big one, Mad Men Series 5, is starting at 8:30 p.m. on Soho with a double episode, and we'll be 3 weeks behind the USA with that. And I've seen that the first 2 episodes of Mad Men really are fantastic. Probably 2 of the best episodes of the show to date, I think. Probably 2 of my favourites anyway. And then Monday night, of course, the really, really big one, Game of Thrones Series 2 is starting on Soho at 8:30 p.m. Launching again with a double episode, and we'll be a week behind the USA on that one. So, be interesting to see what people think.
Indeed, I will also still be a week behind. While I just haven't had a chance to catch up over the past couple of weeks. I'm saving them all up anyway. Thank you very much, Chris. If people want to strap on some more TV action, they can over at the On The Box blog at stuff.co.nz. Chris Philpott NZ on Twitter as well. Catch you next week.
Cool. See you then.